Welcome to Tinker, Tailor, Gamer, Scribe. Where we left off last time, the pachinko machine was looking like this. I had just put the frame on, so I had some space to work with in terms of designing the ball return and having an actual space that I could do that in. So next comes the design phase, and what I need to do first is design a mock-up so that I can basically have a virtual model to design all of the ramps and tubes and stuff around. So I took a bunch of measurements, which you can see here. This is probably not going to make sense to anyone other than myself, but everything that I need is there measurement-wise to build the mock-up of the pachinko machine so that I can have a virtual version of it. So after I took those measurements, I came home because my computer at the shop does not have internet, and that's almost kind of on purpose, and went about designing it. So here we go. So I use Tinkercad because it's what I know, and it's free, and it's really easy to use. Starting with just a basic block shape to facsimilate the general bulk of the pachinko machine. I ran into weird issues because I've never designed anything that involves the scale of the pachinko machine before, especially in terms of height. So I had various, not really issues, just weirdnesses that I had to deal with. So what you see me doing here is my way of guaranteeing my measurements are right, I guess is the only way to put it. It's the way that I've been doing it. I don't know if it's the right way. I mean, I know there's a ruler setting. You can see it up there in the top right, but for me, having the visual reference helps so much more than anything else. So I, build all these little blocks and things that, that are like the right height that I need or whatever to put things in the position I need them. And so, yeah, you saw me like with those extra little transparent blocks and the little standee that I've got there, so that I can put the bucket. I don't know what to call it. It's the receptacle that the balls end up in, that you've won. And the pachinko machines are weird. There's two different places that the balls collect. One is like the primary area where the balls that you can actually send back into the machine go, and then when that overfills, there's a little slider that you can move and it will kick them down into the lower storage area. And if you were at a pachinko parlor in Japan, it is from there that you would put the balls into buckets, and that's how you collect your winnings. I don't have enough pachinko balls to be handing them out to everybody, so I'm building the ball return, and it will work in that lower reservoir. So this yellow piece that I'm working with right now represents, because it won't be part of the ball return, I just needed there as a reference. It represents that upper bucket. So it's the big red hollow space is what I need. Right now I'm positioning the actual drain hole, for the lack of whatever it's actually called, that the pachinko balls, you would open that little lever and then that would dump the pachinko balls into your bucket. So instead of going into a bucket, it's going to go into a tube, that will feed it to a ramp and take it back behind the pachinko machine where it will get collected, and then the little motorized elevator will kick the balls up and deposit them back on the top. The big problem with this design is that it is not 100% complete. Oh, wait, sorry. So this is some of the weirdness I was dealing with. I'm trying to make an opening in the bucket, and you watch, it disappeared, and then I had to undo it to bring it back. And I was like, what the heck's going on? But you see how it's a darker color? I had to actually move it over the grid so that I could delete the part that I was trying to delete. Like I said, I was having issues with it because of the scale. I don't usually do anything quite this size in Tinkercad. But anyway, So once I have this, I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. But I'm back now. So the hole that you see in the bottom of that there, that is what represents the feed hole from that lower reservoir. I will have a tube or whatever the device actually ends up being that will catch the balls there and then run them through the slot, the space from the front to the back, so that they can collect. And this is so much easier for me to design with, especially since I'm going to be 3D printing the majority of these parts. Tinkercad works really good. Like, this is what I use to design the bulk of the things that I use specifically for 3D printing, because you can export as STL, which is just perfect. So with this mock-up, I'll be able to do, anything that I design for the ball return, I can just convert directly into a file to slice and 3D print. So that was the other reason why I wanted to use this program for it specifically, because it's, like I said, aside from just knowing it, it's already lends itself very, very nicely to 3D printing. So I've got everything in the front, so now I'm working on the back, obviously, and like doing the hollow areas. Now the space in the back ends up pretty big, and it's not entirely representative because there are electronics and stuff that poke out the back, but most of them are not going to be an issue in terms of like where routing and things will go for the ball return. So I just kind of wanted it out of the way so that I had room to work with in terms of setting up the ball return. But I did want to get things fairly accurate still, just in case. So you see me like setting blocks up at the top to do gaps and distances and things like that, because the frame that I built kind of gives the back especially a weird profile with the piece of pallet that I put on the sides that extend out further beyond the back than in the original wood frame. That will be nice when it comes to actually building a pretty box to put around everything when I'm done. But right now it's, trying to accommodate it in this mock-up took a lot of extra work, so that's what I'm working on right now. I wanted it to be close because, like I said, the closer I can get the mock-up, the less redoing things I'll have to do when it comes to actually doing physical testing. Which actually, I just remembered, I was almost worried that I was going to have to postpone this project, because getting up to the point where I'm actually building doesn't take long, all things considered. But I ordered a motor to actually power the elevator for the ball return, which is kind of the bread and butter of this whole project. And the people that I ordered it from said that I wasn't going to get it until like the end of November. But as with all things weird, especially when they come from China, you just never know. So actually, I got my motor in the mail the other day. So I will be able to move forward with this project with no pausing, no suspending, no nothing, which I'm really, really glad for, because with having to suspend the radio drama project, I really didn't want to have to do that again. So this is the mock-up, and from now I can go and create the ball return.